Greetings, everyone. Well, it's Toxic Takedown time again, and today we're going to be continuing with what has set the internet on fire, namely Jameela Jamil, Titania from the She-Hulk series, engaging with trolls and toxic fans and positive fans alike on her Twitter. Well, last time we took a look at the one that set the whole thing off. A fairly innocuous tweet that was taken way out of context and blown all out of proportion. Well, it didn't stop there, because the next day she posted another tweet which set them off all over again and once again was taken completely out of context. Now, much like the previous one that we talked about last time, the videos I watched addressing this one, again, only looked at the initial tweet, put a whole bunch of spin, and read between the lines in completely wrong ways, and didn't even bother to even try to get the full story. Well, we're all about digging deep here on Toxic Takedown, so let's dive right in and see what happened with that second tweet. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So, nice shot of Titania surrounded by cameras because, of course, you know she is very much the center of her own universe, showing love to herself. Because, of course, as we all know, nobody is more important to Titania than Titania. So, let's read the tweet here. So, as a huge Marvel fan, I have loved making this show. It's for the people this genre forgot all these years, and those people love it and thank us every day. We didn't stick to any old formula, and we still made it to #1 in the ratings, and we had a blast making it. Madness. Now, this is Jameela Jamil speaking as herself. She does answer some tweets and post a lot of things in character as Titania, and has a lot of fun with it, but this is her just talking about how much fun she had making the show, and what she's talking about here, as far as the people this genre forgot, she's talking about women. How the majority of the MCU up until now has been very focused on the male characters. Oh, sure, there's a lot of strong female characters in it, such as Black Widow and Wanda, obviously, and we recently had Miss Marvel and stuff like that. So we're starting to see more geared towards the female viewers, because, I mean, there's a lot of female Marvel fans out there. I follow some of them on TikTok, actually, and I gotta say, a lot of these gals know more about comic books than I'll ever know. So, yeah, it's nice that there's finally a show that is specifically geared to them, because 90% of what we've had so far has been geared to us. Now, just before we dig into this tweet, you may be wondering what she's talking about, #1 in the ratings, because a lot of the bad take people only choose to focus on the Nielsen ratings, because, of course, the Nielsen ratings compile their lists from very different data than what most ratings lists compile their data from. The Nielsen ratings specifically go by number of minutes watched. Minutes watched. Not viewers, but minutes watched. Actual running time. The number of overall minutes that have been watched. I reiterate this because it's a ridiculous way to calculate and compare viewing figures for shows like this. It should be by number of viewers, period. But nope, Nielsen goes by minutes watched. Don't know why. And the reason that's stupid and does not hold water in this case, and is not an accurate metric in this case, is because She-Hulk is a half-hour sitcom. And it's in these lists up against hour-long dramas, like House of the Dragon and Rings of Power and whatnot. And that's just not a fair comparison. If you're going to compare things accurately and fairly, you go by viewing figures. How many people watched the damn show? So what Jameela's talking about here is a different rating site called The Weekly Whip, which basically goes strictly by viewing figures, how many people watched the show in the US. And in that metric, by those stats, it placed #1. It is what it is. Now let's see what kind of reactions that tweet got. So first off, she reposts the stats from The Weekly Whip. Alright, cool. And Dan Slott, who wrote the She-Hulk comics that the show is most heavily inspired by, responds, flawless tweet, no notes. Love you, Dan. We all love Dan. Dan's awesome. But the positivity was, of course, not to last very long, and here we go. This show will be forgotten within days of the last episode. It has stayed trending for 7 weeks, hun. Pretty good for any show. You know, there is such a thing as bad press. Everyone has been dunking on y'all since day one. Some people have. Coincidentally, just the men we pointed out the behavior of in the show. A lot of other people loved it. Yeah, for anyone who thinks this show isn't generating any buzz or discourse, are you fucking kidding me? I don't think I've seen any Marvel show or movie being talked about as much as She-Hulk has been. And honestly, the negative discourse is so minor compared to the positive discourse. It's had a way more positive response. How do I know this? Because I was looking for fucking thumbnails to show at the beginning of these videos to give an overall sense of the negative discourse out there, and I really had to search to find them. So as loud as these toxic fans are, they are definitely not the majority. If it's for the Hollywood wine mom middle-aged woman crowd, then you failed at that too, because they're not watching, and neither are the core Marvel audience. So angry, so upset. It's gonna be okay, bud. Big fan? Who was your favorite hero or heroine before signing on with the show? Go back 5 years or so. Oh my god, so they're basically gatekeeping. This is a gatekeeping thing. You're not a real fan. If so, name 5 songs by that rock band that's on your t-shirt. Like, give me a break. I love villains. My baby Loki forever. I hope that means you support Scarlet Witch, too. I support her rights, but mostly, I support her wrongs. Titania, the Avengers will catch up to you. Ready? So that's a cute little one that she responded to in character, of course. Can't even describe how much looking forward for this show every single week helped me go through a hard period in my life. College, depression, everything was piling up. Watching this show was and still is an essential part of my life currently, and I'm not ready for it to end. So glad you're enjoying it. See, look at that. That's a tweet you won't see on any of those toxic videos, right there. This is the part of the discourse you never hear about. But you can fucking bet you're going to hear about it on Toxic Takedown every week. It's great fun. I'm a longtime comics nerd, 40 plus years now, and there should be more than enough space for anything that's fun. It's a whole universe. See, that's a great point, and that's what a lot of people don't seem to get. It's the Marvel universe. Why does it have to be all dark and serious all the time? Why does it have to be, you know, just nonstop superhero action all the time? One of the things that makes Marvel great is the depth of the characterization of the characters in that universe and the sheer scope of that universe, which we've started to see open up a lot in the MCU over the past few years. Not just through the multiverse stuff going on now, but also touching on the cosmic side of things with the whole Infinity Gauntlet storyline and Guardians of the Galaxy. Seeing things out on Asgard, what that society's all about. Not just stuff that's based in New York, which is where most of the Marvel Universe is based, but the whole expanse of it. So why not have a comedy in the mix? I mean, Marvel has had comedy comics since the dawn of Marvel. It just so happens that She-Hulk and Deadpool are characters that exist within the framework of the Marvel Universe, but are also comedy characters. It's okay. There's room for everyone. Not everything has to be strictly what you think the Marvel Universe should be, because that's not what it is. It's a lot bigger than that. So maybe instead of just looking at it from inside your little tiny box, look outside and see how big that universe really is. I'm sorry, but I think it's god-awful. It's boring and nothing has happened. It's not funny. None of the jokes have landed. I actually can't believe how bad this show was. It's unreal. Oh, hey, I think that's fine. Thank you for putting "I think" beforehand. That's all I want, is for people not to speak for everyone. You're so entitled to your opinions. Not everything is for everyone. Some love, some hate. There's a billion TV shows for that very reason. And here we go. This is where we're going to get into some touchy areas here, so buckle up, guys. The people this genre forgot, it never forgot anyone. The people writing your show did forget to read the comics, though, that's clear. That is completely untrue, by the way. It is based very heavily on Dan Slott's run on She-Hulk from 2004 to 2005. He wrote 32 issues. It also takes a lot of its humor and vibe from the John Byrne comics and sensational She-Hulk run, which ran 60 issues in the 80s and 90s. It's pretty evident you haven't read the comics if you honestly believe what you just said. They were allowed to take a liberal modern approach to the show to make it unlike anything ever seen in Marvel, and truly from a woman's perspective entirely, and that's still new and important, and has meant a lot to a lot of people who loved Marvel but never saw themselves. Tell me you've never read comics without telling me you've never read comics. Talking about the films. I think we stayed very true to the essence of the comics. Just gonna leave this here. Just because the tone of a show is the same as the adapted material doesn't make it accurate to the source material. Since people seem to not understand that, here is this tweet to explain it. So again, sounds like you're the one who didn't read the comics. When you say Marvel fan, do you mean MCU fan or also the comics? And when I say comics, I mean comics, not the Cliff Notes on the internet. Comics as a kid and teen, then got back in with the MCU as an adult. How about the Star Wars sequels and Rey? How about Rogue One? How about Ahsoka? How about Ms. Marvel? What about female Loki? I don't know. I can't help but feel like you're just spouting rubbish trying to sound virtuous. Good for you on the show, though. Yeah, those are all wonderful and recent examples, and our show delves the deepest into the modern woman's experience and psyche in a very grounded way. We are part of a fabulous wave of finally showing the truest and rawest lens of a woman, in my opinion. Your show sucks and you're having a Twitter meltdown. That one just got me. Like, sorry, I know I use some of that terminology in my thumbnails, but unfortunately that's the way the game is played. You gotta be a little bit clickbaity if you want the algorithm to notice you. But yeah, it's funny. I keep seeing this. Like, Jameela Jamil having a Twitter meltdown. Jameela Jamil hates fans and stuff like that. It's like, are you seeing any of that in the actual tweets? Have I missed a tweet here that shows her having a complete mental breakdown and is just attacking and hating on the fans? I don't know. To me, it seems like she's being pretty fair to both the haters and the people who love the show. I think some men on here are having meltdowns, and I'm having so much fun watching them cry over a little TV show about women. Maybe next time you get a job, you will study the source material. I didn't write the show. I knew the source material backwards. They changed my character, and it was a fun, cartoonish diversion. It's a satire. Try not to get so upset and take everything so seriously. Yeah, by the way, for those of you who think she just jumped into it without knowing anything about the comics, she read the Dan Slott run. She's a big fan. I seriously doubt you know the character. Okay, bro. See that? She totes not mad. The rocker sign even tells you, sweetie, you're little more than a meme of bad CGI and a busted asshole. No, I just think it's funny that you're the exact stereotype of the guys we make fun of in the show. Not all guys, just guys like you. So no wonder you're upset, dude. It's okay. Let it out. Let it out, babe. 10 years ago, you would have turned down any Marvel role just like every other actor too good for comics. None of you, not a single one, ever gave or gives a shit about these comic characters until you warped it with politics. You were the problem. You were tone deaf. Keep going. Lol, I've only been an actor for a few years, and Marvel is my second job. Yeah, not to mention the MCU started 14 years ago, and I'm pretty sure they've had A-list actors in it since day one. So, nice try, buddy. I'm gonna be honest. I don't normally like you, but I loved your interpretation of Titania. It made me turn to my husband and say, okay, now I'll watch Legendary with you. Haha, utterly fair. I'm so shit on Twitter, so bad at representing myself in 280 characters. Enjoy Legendary. Honestly, while I've watched all of the MCU and loved a lot of it, this was the most I've related to anything Marvel. The difference in enjoying an MCU project that feels like it had me in my mind is so dramatically different and positive compared to what I'm used to. Exactly what I meant in the tweet. And that is it in a nutshell. Is this is a show meant to accurately portray life as a woman and life for women and what it's like to be a woman, and it's for women and by women. It's written and directed by women. It stars women. It's about women. It's a show for women. And that's okay, because we've had umpteen shows for men. It's all right. The girls can have a show. Hopefully more than one show, because I find it fascinating learning different perspectives on life and what it's like from both sides of the fence, you know? I don't understand why so many people seem to be so threatened by that. It literally makes no sense to me. What is the problem? She-Hulk did women a massive disservice, and shitting on the fans didn't help. Not to mention the character you played was turned into a joke when you could have been a badass, but instead She-Hulk was completely shitted on by the people that made the show. Nobody is shitting on the fans. We're just offering a lens that got erased before, meaning the focus on women rather than on men. Are you sure you didn't stick to an MCU formula? Because the show being a story that's a comedy and full of jokes is something we've seen before in the MCU, which is why, as much as I don't hate the show, all due respect to you, Jameela, after She-Hulk, the MCU needs to go dark again. Oh no, I just mean it's a cartoonish parody and from a modern feminist point of view, that's all. And that's the thing, and that seems to be a common perspective, is that the MCU needs to go dark again. Why? Why does it? Why can't you have some parts of it be dark, some movies, shows, whatever? I mean, Moon Knight was a very dark show. And then have other shows or movies that are lighter. I mean, there's been a pretty good balance between light and dark throughout the MCU thus far. This one just pushes it to another extreme because it's full-on comedy. But, I mean, that's what the comics are. That's what She-Hulk is. It's a comedy character and a comedy setting. There's room for both, is my point. For the people this genre forgot, if anyone's been forgotten here, it's Marvel fans. Oh boy. So you think Marvel fans weren't women? I am, as a matter of fact, a woman. Sorry, I must have strayed from the hegemony and formed my own opinion. I'm just asking if by saying the people this genre forgot are who we made it for, your response makes it look like you don't think those people we made this show for were Marvel fans already. The show is successful. We were number one in America last week. So we had season 2, blah, 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 blah. Then it's not a success. Successful shows get second seasons if the first one does well enough. A second season wouldn't even be in question. WandaVision was super successful and isn't doing a second season. Why judge a show on that? Hi, I'm here to shit talk the show. Can I get a reply? Marvel fan? You mean when nerd and geek culture became trendy just a few years ago? The same people that mocked us for reading comic books are all of a sudden the biggest fans and always have been. Y'all wild. Me and my brother have been Marvel, QL, DC, and Star Trek fans since the 90s. Us Asian kids lived for it. So not for the people who matter, the fans who for years spent their hard-earned cash on merch and comics got it. They wonder why these shows flop. They can accuse people of sexism, but bottom line is, they don't make them for fans. Writing and acting is rubbish. Interesting. Do you assume no fans were women before? Just because they're now being represented properly doesn't mean they haven't been fans all along. Mostly watching perspectives that weren't theirs. So screw the fans who made the MCU the success it is. Got it. Ah, gotcha. So the fans who weren't represented before should just go fuck themselves. Not finally see themselves represented at last, right? They should just eat what they're given. Cool, cool. Okay, so it's not for Marvel fans, but the new audience. Forget the old fans who loved this IP. Let's attack them and cater to a new audience. Good to know. Thanks. Wait, so you take the inclusion of other perspectives, like women, to mean it's not for current fans? Do you know how many Marvel fans are diverse? It's great for them to finally see themselves represented in Marvel in the past few years. And that's about it for that one. I think you get the general idea by now. So, a lot of the same things being said over and over again. It's flat out misinterpretations of what she meant. I don't know why that is. I mean, it seemed pretty clear to me she was talking about inclusivity and diversity, and in the case of She-Hulk, women finally being represented properly by not only having a show focusing on female characters, but also being written and directed by women, really representing them properly for the first time pretty much ever, at least in the MCU. The one that really kind of touched me was the one from the college girl who said that the show had really helped her with her depression and so forth, and that she just felt overjoyed by finally feeling represented, that there was, she could see herself in aspects of the characters and so forth. And I think she speaks for a lot of women who are watching the show. And as someone who just generally celebrates diversity myself, that's one of the things I've enjoyed about it, just getting to see these different perspectives that we really haven't seen before. I just find all that stuff fascinating. So I don't know why people are getting so hostile about it, especially towards her. I mean, she freely engages with the fans. She could just clam up and have an intern answer her tweets if she wanted. But no, she chooses to personally engage with the fans on both sides of the discourse. And I mean, I got to give her mad respect for that. I mean, I just don't understand why so many people seem so determined to take her words and try to twist them into something negative or something toxic. I mean, the irony is that these people are the ones who are being toxic in this horrible behavior. And as she pointed out, it seems that the only men who are upset are the ones who engage in the exact kind of toxic behavior that the show itself calls out. And rightly calls out, because it's abhorrent behavior. And absolutely should have a spotlight shone on it, because that kind of stuff has no place in polite, civilized society. Why can't we all just get along? Anyway, that's about it for this one. We're not quite done, though. There's still more. There's a third tweet that generated even more craziness, so we'll cover that one in the next episode. Until then, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sayonara.